So I wanted to just post this as well to explain to people. This is my personal experience, where I do get a lot of, like I said, black people, even here on YouTube, who don't seem to think my phenotype is very black looking, I guess, to them. Like this one specifically was saying I wasn't black. And when I retorted her, she was like, "No, ma'am, you're not black." She was like consistent. It wasn't just her in the chat. It was like a lot of different people. Every time I post about Paris Milan, it's always somebody coming in the chat talking about me not being black. It's kind of weird because this is why I did a video pertaining to Paris Milan and Cynthia G, because I was like, how are they black and I'm not? I asked. And then people were like, because they have two black parents. And then it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you dumb ass bitch? I'm sorry. How the fuck you gonna come here to my channel and you don't even fucking know me? And then you're gonna tell me whether my parents are what race? You dumb motherfucking bitch. I'm sorry, but that's just how I felt about that whole thing. It's just like, you are a stupid ass motherfucker. You don't even know shit about me. And then you want to try and tell me what my parents are, what the race of my parents are. You fucking dumbass idiot. But anyway, I went through a 62 comment argument with this person. Back and forth, just basically telling them here. I was like, yes, ma'am, it can't even test 90% black. What are you doing? Neither can Cynthia G. You guys are mixed race chicks trying to tell me I'm mixed. What's wrong with you? I test 90% African on a test, of which FBA black Americans can't even do. Which was true, you know. I do have a very small percentage of European. I have more African ancestry. The major part of my ancestry that is at all mixed would actually be my African ancestry, specifically with the Fulani people. Like, most of my heritage is sub-Saharan African. So I range between 80 and 90% African. That's me, you know. And knowing the Fulani and how they are, it kind of has made me like, well, you know, there's that whole aspect to it. But hey, that's how I identify. I identify as black, and I always have. Understanding, like, the history of the Fulani people and how they're treated has always helped me currently with responses like this and people like this and stuff. But yeah, a major thing I've noticed with YouTube is I get two responses. One, where you can't look how you look naturally and be what you are biologically. Like, I'd have to be 50% black, I think, or 60% black in order to be, I guess, okay to people for how I look, like, especially as far as my skin tone and hair. But it's not really, people don't get at my hair as much as my skin tone. Maybe it's because I don't show it as often. Like, if I showed some photos of me with my ponytail and stuff, with my hair slicked back and stuff, I think that might make me look a little less ethnic to some people, and it would bother people. I bet some people would be saying I'm doing something else to make my hair slick back or something. I don't know. But, like, things like that, maybe. But generally for me, like, I don't really get much. I get more of my skin tone. People always freak out about my skin tone, one. Then people will freak out about my facial features in other regards. Like, I remember this one chick, way back, it was over a year ago, but it was one person, it was this black person, of course, who was, like, hating on me, trying to say, like, oh, you push your nose down or something like that. That's why your nose is pointy. And it's like, dude, I'm just looking in a camera. That's just how my face looks. The biggest part of my nose is specifically it pointing down, I guess. But it doesn't even point down a lot. Like, some people will try and be like, oh, your nose points down extremely or something. It's like, well, compared to the fact that it doesn't wing out like black people's noses, I guess you could say so, but in real life, my nose is not very long. Like, there's most white people's noses are much longer than mine, basically. I kind of am just like, I always am in like a middle tier in between the two extremes. But my point was, in that was just like, I get a lot of people who will be like, the only way for you to actually be black is if you're doing something to yourself to look this way. And it's like, no, you know, when I don't, like, if I have my hair pulled back and I'm not wearing makeup, I look the same. Like, my skin looks the same. And in fact, my skin actually looks lighter when I pull my hair back than when I have it forward. So it's like when people get mad at me and they're like, "Oh, you're trying to bleach and you're trying to do something and you're wearing wigs or whatever." And it's like, one, I've shown my hair natural. I've shown my hair short. I haven't shown my hair pulled back. I mean, most of my photos lately, as of lately, have been of my hair pulled back. I could show a few photos here and then, of that at some point. But the point is, for me, I just specifically find that a lot of people always act like I can't look like I do naturally. And I can't actually be biologically the way I am. And it's weird because it's like, often, if you look at Fulanis, they look just like me. And we're genetically very similar. Like, they're about 80% sub-Saharan African when they do DNA tests. And when I take a DNA test that's actually including my North African ancestry to be set aside, it's around 80%. I'm around 80, 83%. Like, Jet Match was 80. My heritage is 83. Another place was 86. It's in the 80s, basically, for me. So, I mean, like, there's that whole situation, basically. And it's like, I mean, ethnically, I'm very similar to these people. Phenotypically, I'm very similar to these people. These are the people I've touted since, like, the beginning of my channel, is Fulani people. Every now and then I show Igbo people too because they're really cool, but I never really related to them physically because it's like phenotypically I don't have similar features to them. But the point is of this conversation is that I just kind of find it like weird when people try and act like, "Oh, you should be treated like you're black and all this stuff." Well, could you please tell these people who are so adamantly saying I don't have two black parents, and this Hispanic guy here who specifically called me a Hispanic, tell them that I'm really just a black person and I should be being treated like a black person. You know? Like, this guy here, or this person here, I don't know if it's a guy or girl, again, calling me a non-black person, okay? That's just my experience. I can't fit into the dark-skinned black woman phenotype. If I could, I would have spoken for them by now. But most of the time, they just reject me because they don't feel I fit with them. And honestly, the best way I can fit with them is if they think I, for one, bleach my skin. That's the only way I can fit with them. And I didn't bleach my skin. So then, basically, I don't fit with them. And it's not even like feature-wise. I don't really feel I fit with the Chrissy types, at least, because they tend to have very broad, wide, big features. And for me, I mean, I can kind of make my lips look real big, which, that's a pride of mine. But other than that, it's not really something I can really do. And if I was going plain face, I wouldn't even be able to make my lips look that big, because I've had black people with big lips always make fun of my lips. And it's always been a fight for me because, like, no, I have big lips. I always try and be like, especially when I was young, I used to try and say that I have big lips. Nowadays, I feel like my bottom lip is shrinking, which makes me uncomfortable because I used to like to adorn my lips. And I always knew that in 10 years, my lips would get smaller and stuff because people's lips get smaller as time goes on. And that's why people get lip fillers. For me, I'm not getting lip fillers, but it's just like, I don't know, I enjoyed it while I had it in my early 20s and stuff. But my point is that, I just generally don't feel like I fit very well with the dark skinned black female phenotype. But also the other thing is, this is a telltale sign of my channel, that I generally would get responses from people trying to basically say that I wasn't black enough or whatever. And it was weird because even Cynthia G, like I said, in Paris Milan would be called black, like here. And then I'd be like, well, how is Cynthia G black and I'm not? Because Cynthia G is my color. Cynthia G to me we have similar facial features. Racially, we do. We have very similar facial features and racial phenotypes. And some people will think that Cynthia G doesn't look black, and some will say that she does. And I think it all has to do with how they feel about her, really. It's not really about her face. But if you really actually look at her face, it doesn't look like a black woman's. Specifically, I always know that for women like that, they're always asked that they're Middle Eastern, Indian ancestries, things like that. So, I mean, like, I know there's that, but I'm like, if you think that she looks like a black woman, then you shouldn't really have much of an issue with me, now should you? You know, you shouldn't really. It makes no sense. Why would you have an issue with her, but not me? Or why would you have an issue with me, but not her? You get what I'm saying? On a racial basis. Phenotypically, we're racially similar. I don't know what the texture of her hair is. I've never seen it. But aside from that, to me, hair texture isn't the biggest deal, because hair texture is honestly changeable. I could braid my hair out and it could be much, much straighter than what I show it to be. I could, you know, I could wash it and not comb it, and it can shrink a lot. So, I mean, like, it can change. Hair changes, so that's why to me it's like, hair is never a defining thing to me. Now, I know that people with 4C hair, their hair is less manageable like that. You can usually see their texture no matter what they're kind of doing, even when they braid it out. But, I mean, not most people don't even have 4C hair, honestly. Anyway, so, I mean, like, that's been a problem for me on my channel. I've tried to make a channel based off of being a black woman, and that honestly did not work. Honestly, it doesn't seem anyone really supports me for being a black woman. And that's always been the case. And it's mainly because I think of my phenotype. And the thing is, it's not like it's got to do with skin tone for me. I know it's not my skin tone that makes that happen, because I see light-skinned black people and they fit in fine. And this is the thing, with light-skinned black people I've interacted with and seen how they were treated by black people, I've seen that many of the time a very light-skinned black person will be accepted over me. Now, this can be for many different reasons. For one, you can see that sometimes people accept light-skinned black people, um, even though they're light-skinned, because of their facial features. And if their facial features look black to them, then they accept them more. And people like me, it's less like that, basically. And I get more comments like this, where people are adamant that I'm not black, even though I'm commenting, telling these people that I am frickin' black. Like, seriously, that's what happens. And it's not like I'm trying to make them say that. It's what it is. That's just my personal experience. And I kind of like feel like at this point I know what I am racially, and when I think of it societally, it's like, well, is this really any different than what I experience in regular life? Sometimes I don't really feel I have to actually be open about being black, because I can easily be perceived a bit more ambiguously. As a person of color, yes, but not specifically of a as a person that is specifically black or non-black. Not white specifically, like in between. Like there's Hispanic, there's Indian, there's a lot of different things like that. You know, and for me, my mother specifically, she's been asked if she was mixed regularly. So to me, it's just like when people get mad at me for basically saying that, this is my experience, it's weird to me because it's like, you do know that for me, this has been my experience. And I mean, this is how I'm treated on YouTube, for one. This is how I'm treated. The best I can get to be accepted as black is if you think I bleached. But if I'm naturally this way, you can't accept me. Because it's like, you can't accept my natural features. In real life, like I said, that's actually been a saving grace because of the way I act. And because my mother looks more black than I do. And it's always been problematic sometimes with black people because they would receive her as black. And then they wouldn't like the fact that she is someone who doesn't act like they do, basically. And she wasn't reared like they were, And so because of that, she would get a lot of hate from these people, And so, I mean, like, for me, that's just been my personal experience. It's actually been helpful in that regard because when people don't think you're black, you can act differently than them. And it's okay, because if you talk a certain way, if you speak a certain way, if you behave a certain way, if you have certain interests and they don't, they might feel like you're whitewashed or you're trying to be something that you're not. But when they realize or they think that you're another race, then they kind of let you be, kind of thing. This is among black people, though. For me, that's been my experience. So I didn't deal with as much hostility as my mother did, specifically. She specifically always tried to keep me away from black people because they always treated her very negatively. Also, lastly, like I said, with men, generally, when I am talking to different types of men that I've dated and so forth, I generally am asked what my ethnicity is, maybe, or if I bring it up, basically. They might ask me. Like in this case, I brought it up and they asked me, basically. But like, I've had this happen many times where people will think that I'm Indian by looking at me. So it's like, it's not my fault that people are thinking that I'm a different ethnicity, and I hate it that people get mad at me because they'll try and be like, you brush your hair, you wear hair gel, oh my god, oh no, you're wearing makeup today. Like, it's like regular women wear makeup, regular women gel their hair, but me, on the other hand, you don't even want me to brush my teeth at this point because it bothers you. You think anything is making me look like another race when it's just that I don't look like you, dumb fuck. And it's not like there's anything wrong with that. Can I be black and just not look like you? Can that happen, please? Because I'm not the one trying to say I'm not black. As you can tell through the comments and how I've fought for years about being black, to the point where at this point I just kind of have gotten tired and just been like, whatever, to the situation. Obviously, I'm not the one causing this. You guys bring it up. You guys bring up my phenotype. You guys bring up how I look. You guys get obsessed about this because you guys always think that I do not fit what you think a black woman should look like. And then you feel like I must be black and I'm just trying to hide it. You weird crazies. I mean, like, I have my photo of me as a baby. Obviously, I am not trying to change how I look there either. Fools? Like, seriously. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and have a great day. Bye, guys.